Welcome to Meaty-B's recipes. It's the end of apple season and the tree is loaded, so today we'll be making caramel apple cake. I have all my ingredients ready to go. I'm using a blender, a KitchenAid with a paddle attachment, so my order will be slightly different. I'm adding my wet ingredients as you normally would, but if you plan on mixing this batter by hand, it becomes very thick quickly. So at this point you would also add the apples and the coconut. Um, the apples are too delicate to stand up to the abuse of the blender. So in this case, I add them at the end. It was almost too much for the blender to handle. So alternatively, you can add half the apples after adding half the flour, and then continue to add the flour and add the final batch of apples at the end. The apples release moisture and they will break apart further. And as you can see, the batter goes from being very, very thick and dense to quite liquidy. So once thoroughly mixed, you want to transfer your batter to a well-oiled, I used cooking spray, bundt cake pan, or you could put it into 2 bread loaf pans. This cake does not do well in a regular cake pan. It will be raw in the middle. There's just way too much moisture. So you give it a little shake, get it dispersed evenly. I just heard my oven go off, and it's going to go into a 350-degree oven for 90 minutes. 90 minutes later, it's looking beautiful. We're going to take it out, and you do want to let it set for about 10 minutes before you try to take it out. You put it on a cooling rack or plate, give it some smacks. Go on to Amazon, replace your broken spatula, and have a look. It's rare for this cake to come out completely whole, but it's easy to patch back up. Now it's time for the caramel sauce. The caramel sauce is one of the easiest sauces to make. Using brown sugar, it gives you the same flavor, more like a toffee, but you don't have to worry about scorching the sugar as you are melting the butter first instead of melting the sugar. So you just get the butter up to the point where it's almost starting to brown, and add your brown sugar and just keep stirring. It will foam up a lot, so you have to be careful about it going over. And you check the once it starts to get super foamy like that, you slowly add in your milk or your cream. Now this is also nice because you can just use regular milk. You don't have to use cream. I used salted butter. You know, salted caramel is super popular. I often like to add about a 1/4 cup of bourbon to this also. Gives it a real nice flavor. So at this point, we're looking at more of a caramel drizzle. When it cools down, it will thicken some, but it's going to be very watery still. We could continue to cook this into a thicker caramel sauce, but once it cools, it's going to become difficult to cut the cake. The knife is just gonna stick to the caramel and it's gonna crush the cake. So we turn the temperature off, we added our vanilla, and time for a quick little coffee break. This is the best caramel sauce I've ever had in coffee. It's super simple. It's almost like a butterscotch. So we will have to thicken it, and to do so, it just takes a few, maybe a quarter cup or so of powdered sugar. The cornstarch and the powdered sugar thickens it up. And I should have sifted it in. I thought I could get away with just spooning it. The only thing you want to be careful here is you don't want to add too much cornstarch. I should have sifted this in though, and as you can see, I have some lumps. It's not the end of the world. I'll just hit it with a whisk, or you could use an immersion blender, or you could just throw it into a regular blender at the end. Nobody will ever know. It took a little work. That's fine. You know, not a big deal. Mistakes happen, and I couldn't stop tasting this stuff, but that's what you want. You want it to not continue to drip when you check the back of the spoon. So it's time to just pour it over the cake. You want to pour it nice and slow. I could have had this on a bigger plate. It almost overflowed. But you just go around 1 or 2 times, kind of drizzling it on, giving it some nice looking drips. And I kind of purposefully filled the middle a little extra. And as you can see, the drizzle will cover up any mistakes as well. But yeah, like this is a caramel apple cake, so I wanted it to have that extra caramel in the middle like it would on the stem of an apple. And then just to be silly, I decorated it with a chopstick. Hope you tried this cake out. It's really, really good. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.